Hey there, this is the One Boom, and today we're going to be talking about authenticity. More importantly, everybody's newfound obsession with it. I feel like the obsession with small details and authenticity and realism really sparked up with games like Red Dead Redemption 2. Of course, the first thing you think of when I talk about details in Red Dead Redemption 2 is that your horse's testicles actually shrunk in the cold. And the details didn't end there. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a game almost defined by its feeling of gritty authenticity. Its feeling of detail and attention to detail is so important with gamers now, I think partially because of Red Dead 2. Of course, there have been heavily detailed games before Red Dead 2, that's just when I started noticing the current obsession we're seeing with it. I think it's because video game graphics have gotten incredibly photorealistic over the last several years, and so those details make games feel even closer to reality than they did back during, let's say, Metal Gear Solid 2. But a game that keeps popping up when details are talked about is, of course, Infinity Ward's Modern Warfare 2019, the reboot that, in my opinion, was the perfect way to reinvigorate lost fans of the series. Modern Warfare 2019 is the modern interpretation of what COD 4 tried to be. Basically, it's a lot of the things that were set forward in Call of Duty 4, but not really limited by the tech of the time. Of course, you're always limited by the tech of your time, but you know what I mean. It's not 2007 anymore, and games can go from looking like this to looking like this. So that's one of the reasons I think authenticity is so talked about today, is that when you've been gaming since like 2003, it's nice to see that those concepts from the past are able to be realized in new and beautiful ways. And one of the ways I've always thought about this is how my dad loved monster movies. Even the big dumb CGI monster movies of today with little to no plot and terrible characters, he liked them because he grew up watching older monster movies, and so seeing the upgrade in tech was worth the price of admission for him. Watching a monster movie in the 60s and 70s to watching one in 2014, it was such a big technical leap. It was like, hey, that big feeling, that big colossal monster feeling that they're trying to go for, they're able to do it now, and that impressed him enough to go see a lot of them. There's that cathartic feeling of this has been fully realized, or we're finally capable of doing what was being attempted back then. So while it's nice to see video games fully realize the concepts of photorealistic graphics and details and authenticity, that doesn't really explain why gamers seem to be so obsessed with it. And they seem to harp on even the smallest reload animation problems or whatever weapon inaccuracies are in a current game. Like Call of Duty Vanguard has some really fun weapon customization, but because of people's newfound obsession with detail and authenticity, it's just cursed to people. It just seems wrong to take something that really existed and mutilate it into something that probably never would. And I couldn't wrap my head around this. I thought, well, converting a BAR to 50 cal is fun. It's an enjoyable, like, little gameplay thing. Putting a drum mag in an M1 Garand is funny. It's cursed, yes, but to me it's funny, video game haha. So I decided to look at this a little bit more critically from their perspective and try to get into those people's shoes that are really turned off by all of this inaccuracy, and I realized that maybe what it is, this is my hypothesis, it could be wrong, maybe what it is that when a game gets something right, when a game is grounded, believable, and detailed, and gets things right mechanically, when the gun sounds right, when the reload looks right, when how the muzzle flash comes out of the Desert Eagle is correct, I think what it shows is that the developer cares. And I think that's honestly fair. Have you ever watched a movie based on a book that just got all of the characters and plot wrong? They got the motivations wrong, they didn't adapt certain scenes properly? Maybe out of the 300 superhero movies that have released in the last 2 decades, you've seen a character that you love completely butchered on screen from your perspective. The creators didn't get it right. I think we love it when there's been a good casting choice or a good movie in that kind of line because it means that people cared about the source material. They worried about getting it right for you, the audience. I think when a Call of Duty game gets weapons right and customization right, when they get the calibers right, when they get how something should feel to do right in a video game, you still know it's a video game, you still know it's not realistic, but you appreciate, subconsciously or consciously, that the developer gave a shit about what they were depicting. It looks right, it feels right, and even if you're not a military weapons expert, you can go play Modern Warfare 2019 and go, oh my god, this feels real, this feels immersive, intense, and detailed. We also live in the information age. It's so much easier for people to go get well-versed in a subject than it used to be. That's why we have so many pretentious Reddit users thinking they're an expert on everything they've ever watched a video essay on. But if you're a fan of military shooters or historical shooters or anything to do with weapons, you might go watch videos about the real-life counterparts. You might learn about rifles, pistols, tactics, grenades. You might learn about, again, what the video games are depicting. You might learn about what they really are. This makes it much easier to point out inaccuracies, and while some people harp on every single inaccuracy in every video game, some people are more rational, don't expect perfection, but just don't like it when a video game's list of inaccuracies keeps getting longer the more you play it. I think that gives off the impression that whoever was designing this doesn't really care. And since we're all aware about how corporate and monetized every part of our entertainment is, it's nice to see some genuine care put into areas not directly tied to revenue. It's about quality, it's about showing that you care, and not just about making something replayable and profitable. And I totally get that. I'm happy that gamers appreciate that. And that could be in so many different ways. It could be having the selector switch activate differently on different guns depending on where the selector switch is on that weapon in real life. One of the things that grabbed me was that Modern Warfare 2019 let us shoot from ladders. Thank God, handguns are able to be used with a single hand, so it just made total sense to be able to shoot from a ladder. I also like that in Modern Warfare 2019, you get more bullet penetration depending on the caliber you're using. You might think, no, that's just increased damage. No, certain calibers just won't go through certain materials in MW 2019. Certain walls and pieces of cover, you can't penetrate with a 45 ACP, but you can send a round right through if you fire a Lapua through it. And it's not accurate to a T when it comes to that mechanic, but it's there and it's something I respect that they took the time to add. I really hope MW2 expands on that. I think the cry for authenticity isn't this sort of autistic obsession with detail, although sometimes they sound that way in comment sections or on Twitter or whatever. I think that cry for authenticity is the cry for care. Put care into my game. Put those extra hours into showing that you care about even the little things in the game. You care to depict the time period right, this weapon right, this area right, this conflict right, that outfit right. You cared to depict that piece of equipment properly, because that's what it does in real life. Whether that's believable conversion kits for weapons, the ability to shoot from a ladder, different calibers going through different materials, how night vision looks and feels, there's an element of believability that comes from care. Not just obsession with detail, but more so actually giving a shit about what you're depicting. And the last element of this is that some people just like realistic things. And there's nothing wrong with that. Now, praying that every game in even the same franchise is as realistic as the one before it is a little bit ridiculous. It still can be your preferred style of game. I think this is why people like hardcore mode. It's not more realistic at all, but it's less of a numbers game. The bullet kill the bad guy compared to worrying about how much damage per second you're putting out. It's not that it's more realistic, it's that it's more straightforward and feels less like a video game. And I don't think there's anything wrong with preferring a style of game that feels maybe a little less like a game. So I got into the headspace. I figured it out, I think. It's seeing these visions from the past realized with modern technology. It's the idea that developers care enough to put in those details, to spend the extra man hours to make it feel, look, or sound authentic. And it's the fact that some people just like something that's more grounded, realistic, and feels less like an arcadey video game and more like a really cool depiction of reality. And the reality of it is, I see you sitting there in that dinky-ass gaming chair. That's awful. Is that even a gaming chair? Did you get that from the kitchen? That's terrible. What is that? What is that? A lazy boy? What are you trying to fucking fall asleep? You're trying to win. You need an eWin gaming chair. Go in the description. They have a wide selection of gaming chairs and desks. Get yourself set up with code 1boom20. You'll save 20%. You'll support the channel. You're gonna support a good product, and you're gonna leave this video feeling like you really learned something. How to respect thine ass. See you when I see you. Goodbye.